What's up, y'all? It's your boy Ron P. Appreciate y'all tuning back into the podcast. Got a special guest joining me today. Y'all give it up for Jill Bain. Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Before this video start, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel and make sure you go over and listen to this podcast on Apple and Spotify and Anchor as well. So we're going to just have a conversation with her today, get to know her. You know, we like having new friends here at Ron P TV. Everything's good?
Everything is great. I woke up today, so
You
I
can't
can't
complain.
complain.
Yeah, you can't complain. So I want to talk to you about a few things that you got going on, things you got in the works. You actually got a podcast.
Yes.
So what is the name of your podcast?
It is Creepy Soup. Creepy with a K.
Creepy Soup. That name, where did that name come from?
Okay, so when my friend and I had decided to do a podcast, because we had talked every day and we always had like some story we were telling as far as she was very big into tarot at the time, reading tarot cards. I'm huge into crystals and herbs, things like that. And the original name that we had picked out was like chakras, crystals, and coffee or something like that. And I'm like, everything we're doing is just like a new ingredient in the soup, because every time we talk about it, it was something else that we thought, oh, well, that might be a good idea. And I'm like, it's just like a little batch of creepy soup. And I'm like, that's the fucking name.
Right.
That right there is the name.
That's interesting. Creepy Soup. So what do you do? What do y'all talk about on this podcast?
Well, in the beginning, like I said, it was a lot of, my co-host name is Jenny. She's on a hiatus right now. She just lost her mom.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She was big into tarot. Again, I'm all about the crystals and herbs and protection and things like that. But we met through, also a recording artist, turned paranormal documentary filmmaker.
Okay.
We met through his Patreon. He was very active in the beginning with his Patreon, and there's like a whole group of us that became honestly like family. We've hung out together numerous times outside of any premieres he does, things like that. We went on paranormal investigations together. And so, but her and I like really gravitated towards each other, and we talked every day, whether it was on the phone, through the Marco Polo app, through Zoom, things like that. And, we just really gravitated that way.
Just formed a bond.
Just decided to, one day we said, let's do it. We started buying things that we thought we needed for it, and we just went for it.
So you said something that was interesting. You said y'all went on paranormal, what was it? Paranormal investigations.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Now,
let's do that.
I'm very into the paranormal activity. I really believe in it. And it's funny because a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just in general don't believe in it.
Yes.
And I think that people's perception of paranormal is the floating white sheet. And it's deeper than that. But I've never been on like an investigation. Explain to me, like, what is these investigate? Like, what do y'all do?
It depends on the place, and if it's like a public investigation type thing, a lot of times they have ground rules that you have to follow, things like that. There have been a few that we have kind of went on our own, or we've done it with the guy that does the documentaries, and he's like, just do whatever the hell you think you need to do. And his are like, there's a specific place that he had an investigation at that we all still like constantly think about, like constantly. But really, you go there. For example, we did the Edson.
Okay.
Which is very close by here, and I'm so jealous. I'm not gonna lie. That it's a ship. It actually appeared on an episode of the original Twilight Zone series.
Oh,
So
I know
it's
that.
got a little bit of a history. It was decommissioned, recommissioned during 9/11, and there is a area on the ship called the 9/11 room.
Okay.
And if you ever are able to go on the ship and go down there, you will not catch something.
Just something just overwhelming, like a feeling that you.
I can show you pictures when we're all done. Like I have an apparition, like just peeking out at us from the bunks. But usually during an investigation, you have different people bring different equipment. A really good one sounds really stupid if you've never used them, but cat balls.
What is that?
Well, they were initially branded as like a cat toy.
Okay.
And it's got a little button on it, and as a cat hits it, it lights up.
Okay.
But if you set multiple around a room,
they'll move.
They will go off.
Wow. We
actually do that at my house a lot.
Yeah, Judy was telling me a few different things, and we had a conversation about that. So when you go on these paranormal what is it? Investigations. What is like something you've seen that was just so mind blowing, and you just like it's just embedded in your head that you experienced?
It's not something that I seen. It was the location I was telling you about that we all went. It's a place in Saginaw, and it was like an all-night investigation, different areas. And we were sat in the living room of the house, and we were kind of formed in like a semicircle with the guy heading the investigation, like at a table with all his equipment. One of his favorite pieces of equipment is a geoport.
No, never heard of that.
It's kind of like a radio, but you hear things. It's hard to describe.
Is it like the white noise?
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
I would like a geoport. They start at like $1,500.
Oh.
And that's for like a poorly made one.
Nice.
But we're all sitting around. He's got the geoport going, and all of a sudden, I'm not really a neck cracker, but like my neck felt like, and then I started getting a pain. So then after we get out of the room, my neck still hurt, and as soon as we got outside and I was off the bottom step before we hit grass is when it finally went away. And there wasn't a bathroom there, so they would do like intermissions, I guess, to go to the bathroom at another location. I stayed behind, and we were talking about the neck. He was like, so just this afternoon, he was talking to a neighbor. Someone right above where I was sitting had hung themselves.
Whoa.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing about paranormal activity and things like that, because like I said, I've experienced things that, I can't. That's why I wanted to really get you on the show, because I don't get to have these conversations with people without people looking at me like I'm crazy.
Right.
So, but, one thing I've always was taught about dealing with spirits or things like that is you have to be careful, because all spirits aren't good spirits.
Right.
And, inviting the wrong kind of spirits, like once you open that portal or whatever, it could. Have you ever experienced like bad energy, like almost to the point where it's just like almost sinister, diabolical, like real demon type?
No, that I really haven't. Like I felt ones that maybe had some bad energy, but not. I wouldn't go to like maybe they were just an asshole in life kind of thing. But usually I've never really felt anything bad. But also, before you go on these, you have to protect yourself. Whether it's carrying a certain crystal in your pocket. I actually make little protection jars to carry with me when I go on these. If you wear like a certain necklace or something that makes you feel comfortable and safe, it doesn't even have to be like a witchy woo-woo type thing. Just something that makes you feel comfortable and safe kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to pull it back a little bit. How long have you been into this kind of stuff? Honestly, like, when did it start?
My whole life. I saw spirits as a very small child, didn't know what they were. The one house that we lived in, there was something there, and didn't know if it was male or female. It made itself not really seen, but you knew it was there.
Like
and again,
a presence.
It was never anything malicious. I spent a lot of time alone in that house. Like, as I got older, I was never scared, but I knew. We actually called it neuter because, either male or female, because we didn't know.
Right.
But it was always there. I remember going with my mom to a friend of hers, and like as soon as we left there, I'm like, she's got something in her house and I don't like it.
Right.
Kind of thing.
So how do one detect that? Like, I asked Judy a question or whatever not too long ago. I was like, have you ever used the what is it called? Like the little board, I guess the Ouija board?
The Ouija board.
Or whatever, like to try to communicate. Like, how do you, like I said again, is it just a feeling, or, how do you detect that a presence is here?
Okay, this is going to sound really weird, and this is something I actually described to Judy just the other day, that you can be in a room with 3 people, but there's something about the way the room feels that there's 4 there. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes more. Like, I've been in places with a group of people, and there's maybe 6 of us, but it feels like there's 15 or 20 in the room. Sometimes it's just energy. If it's something you're sensitive to, if it's something you're not sensitive to, or you're not open to, or you're like, whatever, this is just bullshit, you're probably not going to.
Right. Until
something happens.
So you got to kind of go into it with an open mind.
Yes.
And you can't just be so naive to, I like I said, I've experienced things move a lot. Mm-hmm. I've seen, and that's what, to this day, I don't know if it was just trying to get my attention or if it was anger, but a glass that was sitting on this little end table or whatever, and it was like in the middle. Mm-hmm. Shifted. I've never seen, I've seen shadows, I've seen things move, but I've never encountered it where it physically did anything to me.
Right.
So on your podcast, do you actually going to like do these paranormal investigations? Do you do them on there?
We haven't yet, but it is something that we have talked about, the possibility of recording something while we are. I'm kind of sort of part of a paranormal group. I work crazy hours. I work sometimes 6 days a week, so I don't have like the freedom just to like take a day off and drive down to Howell or Eaton Rapids or anything like that to do some of these investigations that they go on. If I am able to put in for the time off and it's not something too awfully far, like they've done them in Indiana, which I would love to go to, but at the same time, it's just kind of far to drive.
But really, I think even if we like do history on just here, mm-hmm. Whether it's in the Saginaw, Bay City, Midland area, every place has a story. Mm-hmm. And, so I mean, you may just like go to the libraries, or I mean, if people still go to the library, or the internet, and just do a lot of research, and you may be able to find like more, cases around here, mm-hmm. that you can tap into.
Yes,
it's not an inconvenience.